Today, we wanted to get the year off to a great start by giving you the opportunity to learn new practical skills for free and to try and help you get that head start on your career. So the session's going to last 90 minutes. We'll have a Q&A. If you've got any questions, just pop them in the chat box and I'll ask Sean the questions either during the talk or at the end, whatever works. If we don't get all through the questions today, we're going to record the answers and we'll put those up on our social media channels and send out a link by email to you. Throughout the day, we're going to be asking some big questions on our LinkedIn and Twitter pages, and we'd love you to join the conversation. Anyone who takes part today in any of those conversations on Twitter or on LinkedIn will go into a draw to win a free Madlog Tech backpack, and I'll share a picture of that now shortly. And there's also going to be a random winner from anyone who leaves us a Google review as well. So without any further ado, our trainer today is Sean Hanna, founder of Nemstar. He's got over 20 years experience in the industry and is an EC Council award-winning trainer. So let's learn how to get ahead in our career path today. Sean, over to you.
John, thank you very much indeed. Just two things. Less than 20 years, it makes me sound old. And the second thing is, can I enter the competitions as well?
No, you have to read the terms and conditions, Sean.
Okay. Folks, welcome to this session. We will hopefully do what we've promised to do. We promised to give you real education with no sales. So let's see, can we do that? This is about you. If you're sitting watching this, then you've either already started a career in cyber and you're looking to continue, you're at the start of your career, or maybe you're considering your career. So I have one single objective for you today, to help you, okay? Everything that I'm going to go through today will have a single objective, to try to tell you the truth about cyber, to tell you what's possible, and to be honest when I have to, and to tell you what's not possible as well. My name, as Johan says, is Sean Hanna. I'm the director and founder of a small local specialist information security training business here in Belfast in the United Kingdom, and we've been helping people for the last 25 years. The title of this first session, the subtitle if you like, Can I Learn Information Security and Cyber? And do you know what? I'm glad that you asked that question, because if you didn't ask the question, well, the session's going to be very short, isn't it? So the honest truth is, I'm not sure. Is cyber for you? Do you have the right aptitude? Do you have the right background? It'd be easy for me to stand up here and say, yes, of course you do. That wouldn't be the truth. Many organizations and companies out there are selling this. There was a fantastic advert that the British government ran at the start of COVID looking to reskill people into information security. And it had a picture of a ballerina going, your next career could be in cyber. Okay, it could be. But the long and the short is you need an aptitude for it. You need to understand what you're getting into. You need to know if you like it or not. So straight away, let's find out if you can learn cyber or not. So what can I do? Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump straight in to a bit of information security theory, phishing, and farming. So I'm going to go and I'm going to explain in the next 15, 20 minutes, maybe half an hour, okay, exactly what you need to learn. And there's no better way of doing it than actually teaching you something. And what I'm going to go through for the first part of today is I'm going to take you through that if you had a career, that if you started to learn this, what actually would you be learning? What technologies and topics would you have to understand? What commands and tools would you have to learn how to use? So rather than me standing up here and talking about it, I'm going to do it. Two very simple little topics. The start of everybody's cyber career And it doesn't matter what you do, you need to put the basics in place. Fishing and farming, they're the basics. If you can learn fishing and farming, then pretty much you could learn anything in information security. If you struggle with fishing and farming, then you'll probably struggle with other topics in information security. So let me go straight away, as we would if we were delivering an information security course. What is fishing? What is farming? Now, everybody pretty much knows what fishing is, don't we? But this just makes sure we have a technically accurate description. What a phishing attack goal, the goal of any phishing attack is always going to be the same. There's a fake website. And my goal as a hacker will be, by any means necessary, to get you to that fake website. And there are two different ways to accomplish that as a hacker. The first way to accomplish it is phishing. We all know phishing, don't we? You're sitting there, the target, we call it a TOE, target of evaluation. Victim would be another good word for it. You're sitting there and you get spam email. You get lots of it. And some of that spam email, some of it has a link. So in every single phishing attack, you're always going to get an email, and there's always going to be a link in the email. And the social engineering, tricking you, the social engineering that we're trying to prevent, we're going to try to trick you in any way we can to click that link. Sometimes they're pretty obvious. Sometimes they're highly targeted. We get different sorts of phishing. If I send an email to this group and the email says, your HSBC bank account is overdrawn, click here. How many of the audience have HSBC bank accounts? Very few. And out of those few that do have it, how many will actually click it? Even fewer. So in a general phishing attack, it's very generic. It's almost like a shotgun. You're casting your net out over a large area, hoping there are some fish there and hoping you will catch some fish. We could also do a targeted attack. We can trick you to click the link by targeting at you. Spear phishing. And a spear phishing attack, we research who you are. We target you as an individual. If I send you an email and I hit your wage from acme.com is not paid in to your HSBC bank account, and there's no funds to pay your mortgage in the Bank of Ireland. If I'm able to research who you work for, who you bank with, and who your mortgage is with, and if I make the fake email to be targeted at you, a spear phishing attack, you're much more likely to click it. Phishing, spear phishing. And no offense, if I'm going to go and target a fish, why target a small fish? Why target a minnow when you can target a large fish? We call this whaling. Now, I know technically a whale is a mammal and not a fish, but that's what hackers called it. Phishing, spear phishing, and whaling. And the entire goal of all three of these is to accomplish the same thing. If and only if we can trick the user to click the link, you go to the fake website. You see, that's where the attack starts. I can do all sorts of things if I can get you to a fake website. I can capture your username and password. I can redirect you. I can monitor what you're doing. I can download or attempt to download code to your computer. All of it requires me to get to a fake website. Phishing. Farming, well, farming's different. In farming, we have exactly the same target. We want you to go to a fake website. In targeting, there also is a TOE. But there's no link to click. In a targeting attack, we need to be physically close to you. We need to have a hacker, and the hacker needs to be physically close to the target. Say, in the same coffee shop, the same McDonald's, Starbucks, hotel, conference center, airport, train station. All those places where you use free public Wi-Fi. If the hacker is physically close to you, then the hacker, instead of sending you an email to click, the hacker can attack the network. A network attack. And the network attack, it's usually done on something called DNS. Okay? The network attack that we might use is a DNS. DNS is the domain name service. DNS is used to convert names, worldwideweb.gmail.com, worldwideweb.nemstar.com, worldwideweb.acme.com. It converts names into IP addresses. We know that the only way that you can connect to any site is using an IP address. Name resolution exists because we, human beings, we find it hard to remember IP addresses. So instead of using IP addresses, we give computers, websites, systems names. Those names need converted back into IP. It's called name resolution. DNS is the service that does it. DNS, old and weak, many vulnerabilities. What I will do as a hacker is I will target DNS. What I will do as a hacker, when you type in the valid URL that you wish to visit, what color shall we use? We'll use that one. When you type in worldwideweb.gmail.com, when you type that URL, Universal Resource Locator in, the first thing that's going to happen is you're going to do a DNS query. And what the hacker is going to attempt to do is to give you a fake DNS answer. And we want you to use the fake DNS answer. And what will happen is exactly the same as the phishing attack. You see, what our job is, the job that I do, it's really two things. And I explain this to people on a weekly basis. Number one, it's about understanding. To be able to hack, you need to understand the technology and the system. To be able to protect and defend, you need to understand the hack. We have to understand the attacks in order to defend against them. You cannot defend against that you do not understand. I think the first time that this was written down was Sun Tzu. Sun Tzu, 800 BC, a general in the Chinese Emperor's army. And he produced a book called The Art of War. In An Art of War, Sun Tzu says, know the enemy and know yourself. You need not fear the results of 100 battles. And what he meant is, if you are going to protect or defend something, you must understand how the enemy operates, and only then can you go and understand how you operate in order to defend this. If you want a career in information security, and it doesn't matter what facet you're in, you have to understand the technology and understand the business objectives. This is the hack. The business objective is to defend against the hack. Phishing versus farming. You see, it's really impossible for me to stand in front of a large audience listening on the internet and answer that question honestly. Can I learn information security? The only people that can really answer it is you. Phishing versus farming. So my question to you, well, can you? Did you understand that? Have you got the ability to learn and engage with information security topics? It's interesting. Hopefully, most of you are nodding and saying, yeah, that's fairly easy. Okay then, if that was easy, let's make it a little bit more difficult. Let's build it up a little bit. Let's take it to the next level. Most farming attacks happen in free Wi-Fi areas. Why? In every farming attack, I have to attack the network. In a phishing attack, I can do it remotely. I can send you an email from anywhere in the world. But if I want to attack your network, I have to be on the same physical network or the same wireless network. So that is most likely to happen in, say, Starbucks, McDonald's, a hotel, a conference center, a train station, an airport. You get the idea. In this particular coffee shop, we've got free Wi-Fi. We've got a number of people enjoying their skinny frappuccinos with yak milk. And then we have a hacker. The hacker's connected to the same network. Here is our DNS server. This is the server that resolves the names to IP addresses. We, of course, are protected from the internet by a firewall. And out here, it's the big, bold, bad world of the internet. So what happens in a coffee shop for a farming attack to occur? Well, one of the targets wants to go to a website like Gmail. Gmail does not exist. We know that the first thing will have to happen is called a DNS query. We need to resolve this name to an IP address that we can actually connect to. So we ask the DNS server. The DNS server has to go to the internet to resolve the query, to answer it. Because I'm on the same network, I can eavesdrop. I can listen into the conversation. I can eavesdrop. DNS is weak. It's unprotected. It's not encrypted. And because of that, I can intercept the DNS query. Now, on the internet, what we're going to do is we're going to poison the answer. It's called DNS poisoning. We're going to fake the DNS answer. How can we do that? I might have mentioned it. DNS is old. It comes from the 1980s. It has very weak security, no protection. Because of that, I am allowed to poison the DNS answer. I've replied not with the actual address. Gmail's out here on something like 4.8. I am on the local network on 200.100. I have replied with my address. That is a redirect. We are redirecting traffic away from the real Gmail to my laptop. It's a DNS poisoning and a redirect. When the DNS server that's been poisoned gives the wrong answer to the target. When the target connects, it doesn't go to the internet, it goes to the hacker's laptop. And the hacker's laptop just happens to be running a cloned version of Gmail with attacks. Websites can be copied. Websites can be cloned. We've cloned Gmail. We've added in attacks to Gmail. So now what you get looks like Gmail, feels like Gmail, but it's not Gmail. It's a fake cloned website. Here's your cloned version of Gmail and a free gift, a free piece of code, my attack, my payload. And what happens is, if your system has a vulnerability, if your antivirus is not what it's supposed to be, then I have a chance. Not guaranteed to work, but I have a chance that the code is going to run on your laptop and your pod. This is a more technical explanation of how people get farmed in coffee shops. Well, is a career in information security for you, or are you tuned out already? You see, I can't answer the question, is this for you? What I can do is I can explain the type of topics and what you have to understand. You still keeping up? Maybe there's hope for you then. And if you're still keeping up, should we? Should we keep making it a little bit more difficult? Oh, why not? Why not? Okay, so what we can do is we can go into the technical aspects of it. Stage 1, I need to redirect your traffic. Stage 2, I need to do a cloned website. Stage 3, sit back and wait for a victim. This is actually quite easy to do. So, I'm going to do it. Let me sit down for a few seconds. You follow on the screen for the time being, and I'm going to talk you through my attack. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into a system called Backtrack. Backtrack allows me many attack tools. The first thing I need to do in Backtrack is called a redirect. A redirect, what does that mean? Well, let me show you. Okay, I know that's quite hard to read, so let me just change the font size and the colors, make it a little bit easier for you to look at. There you go, you can't miss that, can you? So let me show you that it doesn't work at the moment, because if I try to ping Gmail, this is a virtual computer, it is not connected to the internet, and if I try to ping it, I don't get a response. This is the hacker machine. In the hacker machine, I'm going to run a tool called EtherCap, and EtherCap is now running. Just a little command line tool that can be got for free download from the internet. On the client, if I now ping Gmail, I get an answer, but it's an incorrect, wrong answer. You can see the reply is 200.100. Any traffic for Gmail will no longer go to the real Gmail site. It'll go to this computer. This computer's IP address is 192.168.200.100. So what I now need to do is clone Gmail and set the attack up. It's actually really quite easy, because if I know what I'm doing, if I'm confident with IT and technology, I know there's a tool that will do that for me. This is the Social Engineering Toolkit. And very quickly, I am going to set up from scratch the complete attack. I'm going to set up an attack that will create a cloned version of Gmail. And I'm going to do a 29 with a number 1 over 443. what's happening? Well, what's happening right now is this system is building a badly cloned, doing this really quickly, a badly cloned version of Gmail. And what it's going to do is it's going to set up this. These are all the attacks being loaded into a cloned version of a Gmail site. What does this mean? I'm doing my attack. I'm building a fake version of Gmail. Stage 1, I'm redirecting you. Stage 2, I'm building a clone faked website. Local IP address, server started. 25 exploit modules loaded. All I have to do is to sit back and wait. And if somebody goes along in the internet coffee shop, the hotel, McDonald's, Starbucks, and tries to visit the Gmail site, they don't get real Gmail, they get fake Gmail. That's the attack. It's a fake page. What's happening? The hacker machine is trying to compile and download code to this machine. It's trying to compromise it. What do you see? If I go to the backtrack box, we have started something called a browser autopon. It's automatic. The hacker will sit back. We will try to identify the browser, and we will download code through the web page that you trust onto your browser. And that will give me remote control of your machine. What I'm looking for any second now, he says, for this to continue to the next step. You can see it works when I do that. It's good timing. Okay, I've done this before, haven't I? Okay, you can see browser autopon. That's it. I own your laptop. I have full control, full access. I own your laptop. I can go and get a list of all the people I've hacked today. I can go and take over your machine remotely because I've run code on it. Prove it, you say? Here's a screenshot of your computer remotely. If I want your passwords, I can do a hash dump of your passwords. These are the encrypted LM hashes and NTLM hashes of your password. If I want to, I can ask for a courtesy DOS shell. mkdir, make a folder. I'm going to make a folder on the 24th of January 2022 at 0929. And if I go and do that, whoop, directory name's invalid, of course it is, because you can't put a colon in a folder name. mkdir, I'll do that again. Okay, 24th of January 2022, 0929, it still is. Oh, 0929, the time. Oh. That folder was made on the desktop of the other computer. If I go to the client machine, what's that? It's a folder on your desktop called the 24th of January 2022 09. I have total access to your computer. When you bring your computer back into the office, I have access to the office. When you bring it back home again, I have access to your internal network. Fishing and farming. You see, I cannot answer the question, is this for you? What I can do is do a demonstration of the easy, the medium, and the hard. The easy and the medium, understanding the theory, Everybody in information security should understand the difference between a phishing attack and a farming attack. Everybody should understand which one is more dangerous. Farming, it's many times more dangerous. If you want to do a risk assessment, an audit, if you want to do a pen test, if you're just doing end user awareness training, you need to understand that. Some people will go into the technical bit and be able to do the attack and pen test. Not everybody needs to understand the hard element, but everybody needs to understand the easy and medium. If you want to learn information security, if you think a career in this is for you, that's what you've got to be able to do. That's what you've got to be able to grasp and to understand. Don't forget, if you have questions, you've got your chat box. Hammer them in. Johanna's sitting there waiting for them, and we're going to do a Q&A at the very end. Okay. Can you learn IS and cyber? I probably hope that you're sitting there going, well, I understood the easy one. I understood the medium one. The hard one, it was a bit quick and there was a lot of technology in it, but it gives you a feeling for what's expected, for what you would learn and what you would do. Okay, we just finished this attack last week. We did a certified ethical hacking course last week. It's a more advanced course. You would need at least 3 years experience. But with 3 years technology experience, ethical hacking takes you to that level where you're able to actually do the same attacks that the hackers can do. I don't know. Can you? Can you learn IS and cyber? You tell me, because that's what the purpose of that demonstration was supposed to be, to see, are you really interested? Is this really for you? Can you actually grasp these concepts? Because those are the types of things you will have to learn.
John, we've got a question come in here.
Please.
She has asked us, why did you use XP for your demo machine and not Windows 7, 8, 10, or 11?
Really quite easy, okay? If I wanted to use a more modern operating system, there are 2 reasons why I wouldn't do it in the demo. Number 1, the size and the resource. I'm running 4 virtual machines, plus a live video conference, plus video mixing software, audio software, and echo cancellation. My machine just simply wouldn't have the horsepower to run Windows 10 and Windows Server 2019. So one reason is purely practical. It's simply the resources required to run. I can do the same demo on Windows 11. Not Windows 10, Windows 11. The second reason, to do it in Windows 11, I need one other thing. A budget. Hacks are bought and sold. The most modern hacks can retail for £250,000. To find a vulnerability on Windows 11 that you can do this on, just the weakness, £1 million. It is worth $1 million. Find it on an Apple system, $2 million. Find it on an Android system, $2.5 million US. So can you hack the latest systems? You can. But there's a caveat. Better have a pretty good budget to do so. And I'm generous. 3 sessions, that generous or not. Hopefully that answered the question. That was a good question. Okay, thanks for that. So let's go back to what we're here to answer. If you're still with us, maybe you're still interested. What is cyber and IS? You see, the issue that we have 20 years ago, 20 years ago, to be honest with you, it didn't actually matter whether IT worked or not. I started my career in a Windows system called Windows 3.1. That was the one that came before 3.11, which came before 95, 98, Windows NT, XP, all of those systems. And when I ran a local charity network here in Belfast in the late 1990s, do you know what? It didn't really matter if the network went down, if the server went off, because the business was not reliant on it. Today, every single business of any type, it's totally reliant on technology. How would your chiropractor, your doctor, your dentist, a florist, a bank, you name any business, okay? A cement manufacturer, one of my customers runs quarries and cement manufacturing. If there's IT system goes down, everything stops. It doesn't matter who you are today. You must have working technology. So could you hack 25 years ago? Yes, but it didn't really matter. Nobody hardly used computers, and computers were not important to businesses. Today, that is different. We are all about looking at the risks of using information technology. We're about working with the business to reduce those risks. We define secure processes and technology. We help and support people to implement technology to meet those security requirements. And we come along to test, to audit, to measure how well we've done. Notice, not all of those things were technical. We've got audits, architecture, we've got business, we've got risk. There's a huge amount to information security other than simply the pure technical IT skills. It's all about helping a business to succeed. I am not anymore a technologist. I'm an information security professional. And there's a big difference between them. What sort of roles are there? And there can only be one answer to this. Yes. You see, it doesn't matter if you come from a business background, a risk background, audit, finance, HR, sales. I mean, if you think about it, it doesn't matter what experience you bring, as long as you bring some experience. The single most important thing is business acumen. It's not to understand technology, it's to understand business, to understand capitalism, to understand the benefits that your shareholders and stakeholders get from the investment that they do. There is a wide range of roles. I think I've just already started to do this. The reason why I can say yes is because you do need to understand technology. There's no getting away from that. If you're coming from a finance background, a legal background, a HR background, if you're coming from a customer service background, what do you need? Well, you do need to understand technology. There is no getting away from this. Everything that we do in every single role, technology is at the center of. I think, and I genuinely do think, anybody who tells you otherwise is lying to you. Genuinely do believe that. Our job is to reduce the risk of technology. How can you do that if you don't understand the technology behind it? You don't need deep technology understand. You don't need to be able to write websites or databases or code, but you do need to understand technology. There is no getting away from it. And if you think about it, I mean, anything else is a ridiculous statement. How can you help protect technology if you don't understand the technology you're trying to protect? IS and cyber, are they different? Yes. I'm glad you're asking these really simple questions. You see, look, many people who work in the industry for many years do not know the difference between IS and cyber. And it's important that if you're considering a career, that you look at yourself, that you look at your strengths and your weaknesses, and you understand what the best path will be. Because IS and cyber are different. My background's technology. I'm an Active Directory and Exchange architect. I used to run Active Directory and Exchange architecture teams. I was a Microsoft MVP on Exchange. I helped Microsoft in Atlanta introduce Exchange 2000. I brought it into Europe with them. I used to be a technologist. Today, I'm an information security specialist. I do not do, and I get really annoyed when people call me an IT security specialist, because I'm not. Information systems. I look at risks to business information. It's a lot more than just technology. I look at the processes. I look at the physical buildings, the structures. I look at the doors, the CCTV systems. I look at the smart TVs that they hang on the wall. I do a lot more than simply computers and networks. Me, what I specialize in, physical security, administrative security, and technical logical security. Physical security, you can walk into and hurt yourself. CCTVs, doors, windows. You know, if you haven't got physical security, you don't have any security. Full stop. Physical security is still critical to what we do. Administrative security, policies, procedures, standards, guidelines, audits. It's the paper side. And yes, there's a huge requirement for that. Some of my customers are financial industry. One of them is a Fortune 50 insurance company. If you work at a financial insurance hedge fund, the government regulates what you must do. It ties you up in red tape. You are required to get a license to operate to meet their administrative requirements. Administrative security is the policy, the procedure, the written and the process side of it. And it is every bit as important, and there is every bit as number of jobs in it than there is in the technical logical part, which I also have to cover. To do information security, you do physical, administrative, technical, and logical. Typical roles: policy specialist, risk specialist, auditor, access control specialist, physical security architect, access control security architect. Okay, there are huge teams of people who don't do firewalls, who don't do farming. They don't need to learn how to run EtherCAT. They don't need to know how to do social engineering toolkit, but they still need to understand the fundamentals of technology, the administrative controls, the logical controls, and the physical security controls. This is information security. We look at the information process, not the IT system. You see, that is separate. That is cyber security. Cyber security is technical. It is servers, networks, firewalls, the cloud, databases. It is about EtherCAT and the social engineering toolkit and Metasploit. It is about the difference technically between a phishing attack and a farming attack. It is about understanding technically how those attacks operate to be able to implement technical controls to defend the network. There are two separate teams, IS and cyber. Think about this. There are three sort of pieces to the jigsaw. IT departments do a phenomenal job, but their job is IT. And the problem with IT is, well, it's its own language. It's its own specialism. It has its own unique technobabble. Management and the business do not understand what IT talk about. If you ask IT about phishing, they'll tell you, well, that's okay. We run DNSSEC. We dropped UDP 53 ages ago. We're now running a TLS version of DNS called DNSSEC, and we've popped it inside an encrypted VPN. We don't have to worry about it. What does any of that mean? Does it mean anything? I think half the time they make it up. You see, that's what the business hears. The business doesn't understand IT and should not have to understand IT. But they need help. There's a gap between what management do, what your senior leadership team want, what stakeholders and shareholders and regulators and the government want, and what technical people do. And guess who sits in the middle? Guess who sits in the middle? Information security. We speak two languages. That's what information security does. We need to speak the language of IT. Hence, no matter what role you do, you need to understand it. Not be able to configure or implement firewalls. You have IT people to do that for you if you have a role in information security. But if you're really good in technology, that's only half. Because you also need to understand business requirements, to understand stakeholders' needs, to understand regulation, to understand the business requirements. And information security specialists speak two languages. So if you already have business acumen, if you already understand finance or management or customer service or risk, or if you understand business, you're halfway there. If you understand IT, guess what? You're only halfway there. Because you've still got a lot to learn. And it doesn't matter which you do. Information security is about meeting in the middle. Information system security, two languages. If you're technical, maybe you want a job in cyber. Or maybe you want to make the transition into the more management orchestrated, more results-driven, more risk-driven information security environment. So far, three things. One, try to give you a feel for what you would study. Two, I've tried to sort of explain why the business needs this, because businesses depend on technology, and that technology must work for the business to succeed. If your technology does not work, it puts you at a competitive disadvantage. It'll impact your profitability, your margins. It'll impact your business strategy this year. How much of that does an IT team talk about? We talk about it all the time in information security. You wouldn't expect IT people to be going, oh my God, there's a new service pack out. I wonder what impact that's going to have on the strategic operational efficiency and our margins at the end of the quarter. Because we worry about that in information security. You don't in IT. I then tried to explain the difference, which we've now been talking about, between IS and cyber. And we tried to say, look, there are great opportunities in both of this. Look, 20 years ago, personal opinion, this didn't really exist. I love to see people on LinkedIn who go with 35 years experience in information security and cyber. You're sort of going, wow, I've always wanted to meet the people who invented this. Because my opinion is we did not have this 20 years ago, really. It really only started to become popular 15 years ago, and only in the last 10 years have we started to take it serious. And only in the last 5 years have governments started to regulate and demand it. What I'd like to do is try to answer the original question. The original question on purpose was, where do I start? And of course, the honest answer is, a tourist was driving on a driving holiday in Ireland. They got a bit lost and they needed some help to get back to Dublin Airport. They found themselves in rural Donegal. They were driving down a little narrow road with a little stone wall, and they seen a farmer in a field. So they pulled up to the farmer in the field and they said, "Excuse me, sir, we're a little bit lost. We're trying to get back to Dublin Airport to get the flight home. Can you give me directions?" And the farmer had to think about it and went, "Do you know what? If I was you, I wouldn't start from here. It depends from where you're starting from. What you need to do depends on where you're starting from. There is no single answer." And again, please, if you're new to this, don't believe everything everybody tells you. There is no golden magic bullet, no one size fits all. It has to be about you, your current experience and background, your ability, and what you want to do. It has to be about you as an individual. If you make the question a little bit clearer, like, I have no technical background whatsoever. I'm smart. I think I have an aptitude for it. I followed your fishing and farming examples. I know about business. I know about customer service. I understand business principles, but I don't know any technology. Well, then that's an easier question to answer, because there can only be one answer. If you don't have a technology background, please, if you take one thing from this, please, you got to start with a technical background. I get people all the time coming, and I've had people who have wasted huge amounts of money being sold these things that just don't do what they say in the tin. I'm trying to be honest with you. We don't sell these. Our business doesn't do any of this. So there's nothing in it for me to tell you this, okay? There's no secret agenda here. It's just the truth. If you want a career in this, you can get it. But put the technology in place first. There's a company called CompTIA. They specialize in foundation level courses. And for you to start really anything in information security, there are two sort of base levels. You either need these or equivalent experience. And the two things is Server Plus and Network Plus. You're never going to get far if you haven't got that technology background. And it genuinely frustrates me that there are some people in this industry at the moment, in my personal opinion, taking advantage of people in your position, people who are looking to engage a career, to spend their hard-earned money on maybe training courses and certification. Do yourself a favor. These things are cheap. They're widely available in techs and colleges around the UK and Ireland. Put your technical background in place. And if you can get through these two, there's no stopping you. That's all you need in technical background. And you are now ready to say yes to this. Because if you do have a technical background, well then, what do you do? And the answer is, that's about the hardest question you could possibly ask somebody. Like, you know, career advice should not be taken lightly. It's your future, it's your career, it's your prosperity that we're trying to help. In Nemstar, what we do is we split all of information security and cyber into 4 different areas. Foundations that everybody needs. And then we split it into governance and management, audit and risk, hacking and cyber. And it gets technically more difficult the further up you go. It's academically challenging the higher up you go. And at this side, it's to do with business. It's to do with management. It's to do with profitability. It's to do with strategy. And as you go across, you're getting closer and closer to firewalls, ethical hacking, cloud systems, database development, C++, C#, Python coding. You see, it's such a big thing. One of my customers, a Fortune 50, one of the 50 biggest companies in the world, they're about the 3rd biggest insurance company. They have 16 million insurance customers. 16 million insurance customers. That's a lot of money. They have over 60 job titles in their information security and cyber team. 60 job titles. 60 job titles. Different roles. Just so there's a huge choice. To simplify it, where do you fit? What do you like? Where's your background? What are you good at? What interests you? Is it all about the governance, the management? Is it about looking at the risk and the audit and making sure the business succeeds? Is it about the technology and the software and the databases? And there's a range of choices. This side, management and soft skills and business acumen. This side, hard technical skills. And you start here and you work your way up. And no matter what you do, you start here and you work your way up. That's what you're supposed to do. Put the basics in place first, worry about everything else afterwards. Foundations, it's the one thing we are common across it. And there's even different choices in foundations. If it's IS, and your technical skills are okay, CISMP. If it's cyber you're after, it's Security Plus. If you already have a good IT background, you're good at cloud or networks or firewalls, or you have an IT support background, then you start with a different foundation because you'll want to progress quicker. So we've got CISSP. CISSP. That's equivalent of a master's degree program. It's pretty hard, and you better bring me really, really exceptionally good technology skills, because it's a master's degree on top of a technology degree. So we need you to have that really solid springboard to jump from. Cyber, CompTIA Security Plus. If you're looking into cyber and your background is maybe only 2 years and you've done your Network Plus and your Server Plus, CompTIA Security Plus is a great foundations into cyber. If it is IS you're looking for, I would thoroughly recommend the British Computer Society's absolutely fantastic CISMP. These are 3 foundation level qualifications. There are others. But if you are thinking about it, no matter what you put in, try to think about it as the entry into IS being slightly different than the entry into cyber. And if you're coming from a strong technical background, you really need to jump in the deep end. You really do need to go for something like CISSP. That will massively accelerate your progress through IT security, cyber, and information security. These are your foundations. So what comes after foundations? I thought a lot about this. I really did think a lot about this one before I finished this one off. That is a really hard question. I have tried to be one thing: honest, clear, upfront, no hidden agenda. I don't think anybody can answer that. If you already have the technology background and you have the foundation, what you really need is some one-to-one advice. You need to work with somebody to look at your current skills and your current background, to look at what you like doing. I get people asking me all the time when we're delivering security courses, what should I do next? And the question is, what do you enjoy doing? Because my personal opinion, as somebody who managed pen test teams, as somebody who's managed people for quite a lot of their career, if you do something that you like, that you really, really love, you'll get good at it. And it's not about where the money is. It's not about where the most opportunity is. It's about, what do you like doing? Well, one of my friends from BT many years ago also worked at a company called BIC Systems with his big systems. Don Murnaghan, if anybody knows him, Don's still out there. I always remember Don. Don is a sensational Cisco engineer. He was absolutely phenomenal at Cisco, and he had the highest level certifications in Europe. He was a Cisco CCIE, the height of his game. And I remember having a conversation with me, it must have been 2002 or 3 or something, and the conversation was about information security. And it was about, he wanted to change roles and go into information security. And I was going, are you sure about this? I mean, you spend your life in a firewall command prompt. You can make Cisco firewalls do things that Cisco can't make them do. But he was absolutely adamant. No, this is what I want. This is exactly. A long story short, he ended up doing some foundations and then trying a role. And the role that he ended up getting was in a government department in the Republic of Ireland for a 9-month assignment. And his first assignment he ever got, write all the policies and procedures for the Republic of Ireland government for information security. 9 months, just writing policies and procedures. No technology, no command lines, no attacks, no ransomware, no 0 days, no pen tests, no firewalls. I don't think he was very happy at all. And Don, if you're out watching this or ever see this, I hope you're still doing well, because you're one of the best network engineers I ever come across. And I'm sure that you're still not writing policies. But for some people, that's a dream job. What's your dream job? Is it sitting writing policies and procedures? Is it carrying out risk calculations with Bayesian and Bowtie filters and doing Monte Carlo simulations, all the good stuff? Is it doing an audit, walking around talking to people and finding out what they're doing and what they're doing wrong and helping them improve? Is it uber tech and pen testing where you have to get inside code and try to find vulnerabilities? You see, each and every one of you will have a different answer to that. So if you've done the foundations, don't do something generic. Make sure that you get some one-to-one advice. The title of this session was about trying to see if a career in information security is for you, trying to answer the question, where do I start from? We tried to put together a little offer called Free Training January, where the concept was no sales, no marketing, just learning. We are coming towards the end of that session now. Hope you've asked some questions in the chat box. If not, now is the time to hammer them in. The last 3 slides are marketing, but they're not a heavy push. I work for Nemstar. I founded the company back in 2009. We are a boutique specialist information security and cyber training business. That is all we do, and we are experts in what we do. If you enjoyed this session, you might consider doing 2 things for us. Leave us a Google review. It'd be very much appreciated if you did. And maybe you'd like to follow us on LinkedIn or Twitter or one of our social media channels. You can talk to our sales consultants. You can get that one-to-one advice if that's what you want. We also publish helpful articles and information related to the latest attacks and the latest information security trends. We are always here to help. We are always happy to help. Should you need anything more, you've got our contact details. There you go. I think that wasn't too bad for a sales pitch, was it? Folks, that is us coming to the Q&A section at the moment. Joanna, are you still there? Okay, we were still online and working well?
Yeah, I'm considering switching career now.
Oh, no, don't be doing that. We need you for what you're doing. That was a bad idea to have you join.
Has anybody got any questions? I have a question, although I'm not actually going to switch career, but I was just wondering, how difficult is it to get that first step on the ladder? So if you go off and you do your foundation certificate in whichever level you decide, or whichever sphere you want to go into, how hard is it then to get that entry level first experience job?
Yeah, getting that first experience, if you're coming from outside the industry, so you're coming not from in an IT background, because you already are in the industry, because you're adding security to your portfolio, that is actually very easy at the moment. If you're coming completely outside the industry, well, it depends what your expectations are. And what you have to do is you're going to have to start at the ground. And if you're willing to take a introductory level salary, then it's actually quite easy. We have roles in things like SOCs and operations centers. We have roles in policy, procedure, risk, and audit. There are numerous different entry-level roles. The thing about an entry-level role is it doesn't stay entry-level very long. There is a massive shortage and demand for skills in this area. So even if you join at the foundation level, you would be expected to move almost every 9 months. So at the moment, what we're seeing is 9 months, move role, 9 months, move role. There's very little other careers where the move between one role and the next step up the ladder can be as little as 9 months. But in information security, it is that. But the honest answer is, look, you're starting off, so you have to be realistic on the package and the salary that you'll be offered at the start, on the confidence that there is brilliant room to grow and mature quickly And it's about that background you bring, about those other skills that you bring outside of IT and technology if you have none of those backgrounds. And if you've got good finance or good audit, good organization, good people skills, good customer management, all of those things are in demand and being sought. So how do you get that first step? You do have to start on rung one, but the progression can be very, very rapid. Any other questions?
Yeah, we've got a couple come in. So Jim is a web and mobile app developer, and he's wanting to get into pen testing and web security. He's got some basic server setup with Linux and AWS. So what would you suggest he looks at?
Well, you see, it is about at that stage doing the foundation work. It's about learning some of the theory. And to be honest with you, it's either the CISMP or the Security Plus. CISP, it could be CISP as well. It depends on how quickly Jim would like to progress and what his target is. If his target is really into sort of building on what he already has, looking at website security or cloud security, maybe auditing people's cloud systems or auditing their websites, then that really is Security Plus as a minimum. Okay, with that technical background, it's probably more cyber that Jim would probably enjoy more and maybe make better rapid progress on. It'll be probably more cyber than IS. So Security Plus would seem at the initial outstage to be the right starting point. Okay, that makes sure that you know the theory and the basics. After that, you have to complement your existing skill set. So if your skill is, web and cloud, then that's where your opportunity is to look at the certification and pathway, maybe going into the hacking side in that route, but concentrating on what you already have, the web, the SQL, the background layer. So there's a great website called OWASP, OWASP. It's an open source free website, and they have a fantastic product called the Juice Box. Juice as in stuff you drink for breakfast, not the hard stuff. Okay, and Juice Shop is a cloud-based shop selling soft juices, like smoothie juices, like apple juice and strawberry juice and orange juice. And the idea is it's a weak application. It's a deliberately weak application. And it has exercises you can do for free. You could spin it up in Heroku. Heroku's a cloud system that gives you free access. It's a bit like Amazon AWS or Microsoft Azure, but there's a free tier. And if you have those technical skills, then go and experiment. Go and look at some of the free resources that are available. Build the skills up little by little. If you're interested in getting certifications, pick the jobs and the roles you'd like to apply for or the contracts you want to go for. Look at what those jobs require. So rather than asking me, go and look at your ideal jobs or the contracts you're trying to hit. See what they're demanding, what they're saying you have to have. And if those are where you're going to, then you know what your objective is. Go after those. Information security, there's a lot of people with some really good skills. And there are some people that don't have any skills. And one of the things the industry tries to suffer with is trying to weed out the people with the good skills and the people who claim to have them. So you'll find that in this industry, there's a requirement to have letters after your name, to do projects, to apply for contracts. Aim for those jobs and roles and those certifications that the customers are actually asking. Okay, any others?
Yeah, so Andy would like to know what the job market's like presently, especially on the technical side.
Okay, so again, I can answer sort of from a Northern Ireland perspective, a UK perspective, and an Irish perspective. And what we're seeing at the moment is the service desk and SOC. So we're seeing a lot of jobs for support roles, a little bit like an IT service desk, but doing information security. And you'll find that the volume of people being taken into that is quite high. The other thing we're seeing a specific demand for is actually people like Jim. Jim mentioned there that he was doing web and coding and stuff like that. The coding side is a side we're seeing a lot of demand for, people that can go into software, look at other people's called static and dynamic code analysis and look in there. There is definitely a lot of opportunities, but the honest answer is a recruitment agent would be a much better person to sit down and talk to. And you should be talking to recruitment agents before you make these decisions. I've also seen a lot of demand at the moment around the management for information security. People with good, strong business acumen and good management skills who also can manage a team of people. Again, there's quite a lot of weaknesses. Some technical people make really good technologists, but that doesn't say they're really good people. So I've also seen a lot of demand in around that. But the right thing to do is to sit down with a recruitment agency and tell them, look, this is what I'm thinking of doing. This is where I want to go to. What would you suggest? What roles are on? What roles would you suggest to me? Take a look at those roles, take a look at the requirements, and then see what the gaps are. And it's those gaps that make up your learning pathway, isn't it? Keep going. Any more?
Yeah, so just a comment from Sean, another Sean, not you, obviously, saying he's sorry he didn't get to see this presentation about 5 years ago. He has a CISA certificate and an audit background, but not the foundation like CompTIA and Network. So he's thinking he maybe wants to address that technical knowledge now. And then we've got one.
If you've got audit background, you know, there's definitely demand for audit. Audits, I love audit. It's one of my favorite parts of my role. And, you know, audit itself is a very specialized skill. And adding in IT and security to audit, that's really, really good. That's a very attractive proposition to a potential employer.
Great. And then sticking with auditing, Barry wants to know what's the typical effort required to migrate towards an auditing role?
Again, maybe Barry could type in right now if he's still listening. From what? I mean, the starting point, it's the joke about the American tourist, it's the starting point that's really important. So migrating from IT into audit or from audit into IT audit, what sides Barry come from? Maybe Barry, you can hammer that in right now on your keyboard. See
it's got plenty of tech and management.
Right, okay, so that really, so if you've got tech and management, then there's two things you need. The foundation, you really, as an audit, because you need to be respected, because you need to be able to demand the respect of the auditee, I'm afraid it's CISSP, because CIS gives you that respect. It's really respect. It's hard. It's a master's degree program. CIS takes 3 months of hard work after you do your 5-day course. It is an extremely high level, but it's respected because we know that if you've achieved CIS, you really know your information security. And if you get CIS, CISA is the world-renowned audit standard. And if you've already got the management and technology, the only two things you are missing, and I would is your CIS and your CISA. What you then do is you look and you say, right, now different environments have different audit frameworks or standards. So ISO 27000, Cyber Essentials, SOX, GLBA, HIPAA, FERPA, FCA, FCA. There's dozens of them. And each auditor will specialize in each one. I would sort of stay clear of ISO 27000 at the moment. There's a glut of ISO 27000 auditors because a lot of businesses are finding that it's become a low cost point thing. So the ISO 27000 audit market, the cost of auditors and the salary is sort of diving. But in other markets, like fintech, like nuclear, civil aviation, oil and gas, there's a whole lot of other regulated environments. But CIS, CISA, plus a framework to audit against, and I'd suggest politely that might not be ISO 27000 at the moment. Any more, or is that us nearly finished?
Yep, that seems to be it. Yeah, just everyone who's asked a question has said thank you for your answer.
Not a problem, folks. It's what we're here to do. Look, I really do hope you enjoyed it. The YouTube of this will be up on our YouTube channel quite shortly. So if you think of any of your colleagues, friends, or families might benefit, there is always the opportunity to point them in that direction. You know what we're going to ask. If you want to know anything more, look us up on LinkedIn or visit our website. But for today, I think we'll call it quits. Hope you learned something. Hope you enjoyed it. But for me, for now, take care and stay safe, folks. Okay? Goodbye.